Hey guys, we're back.
I thought you had to wait 3 seconds.
No, that's only on the first one.
Oh.
We're going to assume that that was just to get a level for the background noise.
Oh.
We're going to assume
I
the
see.
background noise is the same on this one as the first.
Okay.
Um,
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Well, I did mean to, but I thought it was a worthwhile
yeah,
purpose.
that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
That's absolutely. We keep it informal here.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. We keep it. We only do one take. I mean,
Yeah.
you know. So I'm like, wait, wasn't that not what you're supposed to do? And you're like, oh shit, I guess not. But we did it.
Cut.
So here it
cut.
is.
Take. We're gonna let's go again.
Cut it. No, but it's there. That's the
No, let's just go. That's more work. That's extra. We're not doing this because we want to do extra work. We're just sitting here drinking.
Well, it's an excuse to drink good wine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You'll be like, oh well, we have to open up the Dumal for the podcast.
Right. Right.
And no one
We
watches
have to.
this podcast.
We don't even have a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But right, it gives us. We can feel good about ourselves while drinking expensive bottles of wine.
It makes you feel a little bit better.
Yeah, there's a purpose to this. We're not
Yeah.
just wasting money.
That's right. It's a business investment. Okay, so the wine has certainly warmed up in the glass a bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like we were gone for a half an hour or anything,
Right.
but
A little bit.
and I think it's opening up very beautifully. Really think it's a tremendous white wine for the list. It's not a by the glass price. It's always on the list, but I think it really is. It definitely enhances the white wine selection here.
I'll buy that. So look, it's a rich wine.
Yep.
I'm getting a lot of like weight
Mhm.
and like savory, almost umami like bite on my tongue and like the sides of my mouth. You know, it's good. You know, I'm still having trouble wrapping my head around it.
Yeah.
And now doing this, I've realized like
It has a weird flavor. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't drink this a lot.
yeah, I've realized that, you know, it actually takes me, we did 20 minutes,
Mhm.
and now we're into the second 20. It actually takes me more than 20 minutes usually to wrap my head around the wine and decide what I really think about.
Right, right. Takes time for it to come around for you.
You need to, but I think often, I mean, look, there's a lot of, especially if it's a variety you're really familiar with,
Mhm.
you know, you can kind of just make a judgment right off the bat, like, this is crap,
Well-
or whatever. But sometimes it takes time. You got to sit with it and think, like, do I like this? Am I, you know, you really have to spend some time with the
Sure.
wine and develop a relationship.
I think we made the point before that when we're sampling wines from reps, it's kind of tough
Yeah.
because you know you're lightning tasting these wines. I have a handful of wines, maybe it's 4, maybe it's 8, and you taste them quick, a quick little sip, like this much. Some of the reps come in and they give us this much, right? Right, Josh?
Yeah.
Like this little 1.5 ounce.
Yeah, and what are you supposed to do with that, right?
I mean, you know, I get it, but
Sure.
on a lot of people, that's what they do. But quickly, the reps here, when they come here, they learn that we drink a lot of it.
They know.
Because we know we want to, I mean, we want to have a drink, but we also know that it takes more to understand the wine.
Absolutely.
I think so.
So the guys back here
They're
are
trying to get some wine.
they're getting into the Sauvignon Blanc, and they were disappointed to find that the wine glasses that we usually have behind the bar
Are no
are not
longer
there
there
anymore.
No, they're over there.
Because we don't do dine-in service anymore. We're not allowed to.
There's no more dining.
There are no more wine glasses behind the bar, so they're scrambling, thinking like, you know,
It's the end of the world.
my wine glass. But they found some wine glasses, so they're
They'll make it.
Mr. Andrew Edelman, I think, is partaking of a fine New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc,
Yeah, I love that wine.
highly aromatic.
You know, I've been
wine.
on a kick for New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc lately.
Cheers.
Cheers. Corona cheers. Yeah.
Oh, no, you got to clink the bottom of the
the bottom,
glass.
right.
Yeah.
I like that.
Oh,
Safe.
Cheers.
I don't know. Safer than where you're been drinking out of.
A little
yeah.
safer.
I mean,
safer.
the whole cheers thing to like make sure your wine's not poisoned and
I
slides
guess
it
so.
in, so it kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
I've heard
Yeah.
that.
So it's kinda like, oh.
here, you have a little.
We
of
are
mine.
Corona.
Right. But with the virus, it makes a little less sense.
No, I get germs in. I
Right.
don't know. It's not
It's
to the
like
brim,
a-
so I don't know if it's the same principle.
You wouldn't even know. Poisoned? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. Not sure. I won't find out for 2 to 14 days.
Yeah.
What a wide window too. That's the most
2 to
unfair
14
thing. of this.
days.
Like I feel
Sure.
like when I was on that flight home from Oregon from the
Yeah.
exam,
Yeah.
the way home,
The
I feel like,
advanced
oh, I didn't get it
days.
from that. But that was like 11 days ago. I'm still in the window from that.
You
apparently.
might have gotten it. You might still
11
not
days
have
ago.
developed symptoms yet.
I heard that the median.
You could be spreading it to us right now.
Maybe, or you could be spreading it to me. I heard that the median was 4 days though.
Right.
I read somewhere. I don't
That's
know.
right.
I don't know even what to believe, but eventually you start to develop. You read all these different things.
Right.
You develop a wholesome picture, and that kind of makes sense. 4 days. It shouldn't be 14 days. You know, like that should be a very rare exception.
Right.
14 days.
Yeah, I think
a
that's
very
probably
cautious
rare.
exception. So yeah, I could see in a few days you're showing symptoms. You know,
Yep.
probably.
Yep.
Yeah. So listen, I definitely am into the wine. I think I've identified that note that to me
So
is
there
very
was-
interesting about this wine.
There was a note that Andrew was telling me during the break that he had before. He had given before when he tasted this wine, and he couldn't remember what it was, but he thought it summarized the wine in a good way. And what was it?
And it's unique to this wine. Well, of course, as a note, it's not the only flavor in the wine. You don't want it to be the only flavor. If it was the only flavor, that's kind of a simple wine. Like if you get a cheap, like, it's fine. If you get like a cheap box wine or a cheap wine and it tastes like one thing, it just tastes like cherry, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's
One
fine
note.
if it's cheap, but you wouldn't want an expensive wine that just tastes like one note. This has layers. I think there's
Yeah.
the oaky tones in there. There's layers to the texture. I think there's some obvious like apricot-y, like apricot pie kind of thing.
Hopefully that's a takeout.
Hopefully that's a takeout order.
Because there hasn't been one the whole time we've been podcasting.
Well, we're
so-
past the peak. The peak was,
Yeah, the dinner rush was from like 5 to 6:30.
and it was decent. I looked at the number
Well, I think people are eating earlier now
because they're
because
just
they're
going
not at
off,
work.
like,
Right.
well, yeah, they're like ready to. What else are they doing?
Right.
They think about dinner like all day when they're just sitting on
Right.
the couch watching TV or whatever they're doing.
Right.
Anyway,
The note.
the other note to me that I'm getting, persimmon. Has that mealy, slightly sweet kind of thing to it, but it's more of the savory flavor overall.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think persimmon is one of those like bullshit sommelier wine notes that's totally useless because in reality most Americans
Haven't had persimmon.
have never had a persimmon and don't even know what it looks like.
That's
and,
not my fault.
And they have no fucking clue what you're
Well,
talking
I don't
about.
think it's a bullshit note.
And I think a
That's
lot
not
of,
my fault.
I think some of the people that call persimmon
Yeah.
that say like, little persimmon, they've never had a fucking persimmon.
I've had fucking persimmon.
Okay.
You can look on the Salumi Instagram and go
Yes.
back to the holidays. There's persimmon on the boards always.
Yeah.
We always have persimmon in Salumi.
Yeah, but it's like
That's not my fault.
like gooseberry.
Well, gooseberry, I've had gooseberry too.
Alright.
And I get why they usually call Sauvignon Blanc.
Sure.
It tastes like a lot of gooseberry. But that I agree. Most people haven't had
But
gooseberry.
I think there are wine tasters out there going,
Gooseberry.
"Oh, gooseberry," and it's like, have you ever had a fucking gooseberry, or did you just hear other people say gooseberry when they smelled Sauvignon Blanc,
Right.
and then you started saying
Sure.
it,
Right. Well, I mean, hey, it's the language of describing a wine, right?
Right.
But listen,
But just say it smells like Sauvignon Blanc. Then,
I
which
feel
you
like
can, I guess,
more
yeah.
people have had persimmon than gooseberry in this
Yeah,
in this
probably true.
country of ours.
Probably true.
Maybe like 30 to 40% of the population has had persimmon, where probably like 10% have had gooseberry.
Maybe 30 to 40%.
I've only seen gooseberry like 2 times in my life,
Yeah.
and I work in a restaurant.
Yeah.
I saw it once in Manhattan, and I ate it, and it was like, oh yeah, shit, of course, that's Sauvignon
You're
Blanc
like,
in a
"Hell,
berry.
that tastes like Sauvignon
Tastes like
Blanc.
tastes like New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah.
It's like a little orange. It's kind of it's a good looking.
Right.
It was like it was a garnish on whatever I was eating,
Right.
but it was tasty. It was refreshing.
Mm.
You know, not only does it smell like Sauvignon Blanc, it's like refreshing like Sauvignon Blanc too.
Right.
Yeah. But
Okay,
persimmon,
persimmon.
people have
I
persimmon.
get it.
People have persimmon. It's
I
kind
agree
of
with
fleshy,
you.
you know.
Well, it's like fruit persimmon. I mean, it's like how do you describe that? It's like appley and fruity, but it's sort of tomatoey a little
tomatoey
bit.
in its look. Kind
And it
of.
looks tomatoey
Yeah,
too.
It's
but
an
it also,
orange-looking tomato, but it's appley. It's you know what? It's its own thing.
Yeah.
It really gets its own category.
Well, you know what? I can
Just like this one.
I can agree that there is a tomatoey note here. Like if I'm just going to take out part of your persimmon note,
Mhm.
I'll agree that there is a little tomatoey note. which you wouldn't normally say on a white wine. Usually, red wines are tomato.
Maybe tomato leaf, you would say.
Maybe, yeah.
On
But
like a
there's a
Chardonnay
little
or
tomatoey
something.
note. But you know how I was saying the sort of umami and rich?
Yeah.
The
Right,
nose
that's
too.
so
There's
just
this
these two.
tomatoey.
We're approximating the note here. We don't have to agree completely on the descriptor. Doesn't matter, but it's a descriptor. It's a note, and I think we're talking about a similar thing, right?
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to say now that my palate's a little more conditioned.
How's your nose? Have you recovered from the COVID?
Well, a little bit. I mean, you know what? I did an interesting thing during the break. I smelled some New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc just to gauge where my nose actually at. If you smell New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc and it's not huge to you and it doesn't hit you over the head and explode, if it's not bananas, then your smell is not like too sensitive. Because it should be. Almost any New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc,
And it
the
wasn't
nose
bananas
is
to you?
gigantic.
It wasn't bananas.
And it wasn't bananas to me. It was like, yeah, it smells like Sauvignon Blanc, but it wasn't like, you know. So I think my nose is a little compromised.
Without a sinus infection.
Well, I don't know what I have. I mean, I can breathe okay, but you could still have some like swelling in the sinuses that like partially cover the olfactory bulb or whatever. It's possible,
That's
right?
true. That's true. You can breathe just fine.
I can breathe fine, yeah. But anyway, I'm not getting a huge amount on the nose, but as I sit with the wine a little bit, the palate, I
There
will
isn't a
agree,
huge amount on the nose.
it's a little muted.
There is not. Yeah, there is not a. It's not a very.
It's nice though. It's nice.
It's it's not heady, but if you're looking for it, you find it. You find these colorful, floral, interesting, exotic fruit notes. They're all in there.
But as I was trying to say,
Right.
the palate has a deliciousness to it. It's got a tomatoey, apple-y, you know, maybe persimmon, tomato / apple, kind of rich, waxy, savory palate that's quite delicious in a similar way to some Chardonnays, like some of those like yummy, tasty, satisfying California Chardonnays, even that people just like because they've got a little sweetness and a little umami and
It tastes good.
savoriness. This has some of that, like this rich,
Sounds
delicious.
hate that.
Yeah.
shit.
No, they're
Sounds hate
idiots.
that.
Soms are idiots.
I was at the course.
You know that
years
better
ago.
than anyone.
Well, they just
Soms
have,
are idiots.
There's just a culture of what you're supposed to like and
Yeah,
what you're
right,
not supposed to
exactly.
like, and I don't subscribe to that. We had a blind tasting at the Advanced Somm course years back, and there was this one Chardonnay. Everyone knew it was Chardonnay. It was rich, and everyone was like, "Yeah, I really like it, though. I think it's like California, but I really like it." And then it was unveiled to be Rombauer Chardonnay, which
Yeah.
is the most rich, buttery, pound cake, like
Right.
delicious Chardonnay. But you're not supposed to like it, apparently, if you're a Somm. You know, you're too enlightened to like something like that, which I just completely
Because it's
I
too
don't
good.
subscribe to
It's
at all.
too good. It's too easy for anyone to like.
It's not hip.
That's
It's not
right,
something
yeah.
that you discovered. Well, the production is large, and
Right.
so
Well,
you
okay.
get how it's not a hip thing to like. However, I don't think most of the customers care.
No.
They want something that's delicious, which is exactly why it's on our list at Plancha, and it's been on the list here. It'll be back here because it's just a delicious wine.
Yeah.
But I remember just like the hatred, not from everybody, but so many people like, "Whoa, it's Rombauer! Oh my God!"
That's been
They
going
couldn't
on
even believe it, and it's
for-
just what's the problem? It's delicious.
That's been going on for at least 10 years.
Probably forever.
And probably longer, but I've only been in this business really 10 years. And I remember 10 years ago, people saying like, oaky California Chardonnay, not on my watch.
Yeah.
Hell no, forget it. That's for idiots.
It didn't get popular out of nowhere.
Right, there was a reason, sure. I mean, and you understand, like, it is a little bit of a caricature of the Burgundy wines, and it is a little over the top.
It's a
or
caricature,
whatever.
of course, but it has been
Yeah.
it's been a caricature for long enough that
Yeah.
it's become its own thing.
It's its own thing.
And it has its own profile that people like, and
Yep.
you know, like we say, it's become a caricature. If this person who the last 25 years has been drinking these full-bodied California Chardonnays like Rombauer, and they were to drink one of the fine Burgundies, which Rombauer, that kind of wine from California, were inspired on or from, they may not like these classic Burgundian wines. They'd be too lean and too tart and too bright and too
Yep.
mineral for them.
Yep.
And you know what? They've just become two different categories.
Two different beasts.
One is two animals.
I feel like we should get back to the Viognier though. Like we really should be talking about.
May I?
Yeah, you may. We should really. Oh,
In Japan,
May
you're
I?
not supposed to.
no.
May you? How do you even say that? Like, do you mind?
Could you?
Do you mind?
Would you? Right.
Hey,
Yes.
do you mind? I mean,
Please, if
Yeah.
you please.
Please.
No, of course. But the thing is, like, we really should be talking about this versus Condrieu versus like the North Rhone Viogniers.
Sure.
But I've had so few of those in my life.
Oh my god.
And
I
there's-
don't know if I've had Condrieu other than
I
in
think
one
I
taste.
have, yeah. But there's right. I've maybe once, and I've had some South Rhone Viogniers, and there's so much less mythology built around them. They're so much less known, and California Viogniers pretty rare as
Pretty rare
well.
as well, yeah.
We don't have much experience to contrast the two things, and there's not a lot of mythology out there around the whole situation either.
Right.
So there's not as much to talk about as with the great Chardonnay debate. You know?
There's a little bit to talk about. I mean, and I don't know. I'm pretty confident that among all the industry tastings we've been to, that I've been to, with
we've had a
the
few.
Wine Spectator tasting we went to,
Yeah, sure.
Villard, I'm sure Villard was there, which is one of the houses in Condrieu. I'm just sure reps have brought it by, and if
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
ever, I'm sure even Gigal or one of these
no,
negociants.
yeah, we've had a few.
And we were just like, it's too expensive. Condrieu is expensive.
Yeah.
And part of the reason, I mean, it's hillside fruit, so the production is more costly, so the wine's more costly, and there's not a lot of it. There's not a lot at all. So that's a limiting factor on the supply, and then the demand doesn't have to be much when the price shoots way up.
Sure.
They usually are aged in oak, brings the price up even further.
So hillside fruit is expensive because
Well, because of the cost to produce it, the cost to harvest it. For example, you can't machine harvest,
there you go. Right?
so you have to hand harvest. You need human.
yeah,
You need labor-intensive human hands in the vineyard, so that
right.
jacks
You
the
can't
price
get
up
these
immediately.
like automatic harvesting pickers to go up like a 45 degrees slope. And the hillside, that 45 degree slope, is part of what lets the grapes get their characteristic, ripeness and coolness,
Exposure
and good
to the sun.
drainage, all that gives them the real
Great
flavors.
drainage,
So hillside fruit is the best in terms of that's where the grape grows well and develops real like character. But it's expensive to harvest because the machines can't handle
Right.
it.
Well, I don't know.
You need a primate.
Maybe
to
a
go
lot
up
of
those
people- you
steep
need a monkey.
slopes and pick.
Like us.
Yeah.
I wonder how conventional this wisdom is. Maybe it isn't for a lot of American wine drinkers, but in Europe, most of the great wines are from grapes grown on hillsides or the banks of a river. And for exactly that reason, the quality is good. But just logistically, if you're just wanting to plant a lot of crops, there's not a lot that grows well on the banks of a river. The vine, however, grows very well on these thin, rocky soils and with the slope, and
Yeah. Traditionally, grapevines
can't
in
grow
Europe.
wheat. So,
Traditionally, grapevines in Europe were planted where you couldn't plant anything else.
right,
Right. So
And
it was
they do
very
well.
efficient.
The vine, the grape, the wine grape vine, Vitis vinifera, it's kind of Middle Eastern or Near Eastern in its origin, so it doesn't need a lot of water. It's from the
Right.
Levant, right? Basically, or Georgia,
guess so.
Israel, somewhere.
But
around
I think wild grapes are to be found in a lot of different climates.
there. Right. Well, yeah, but different species as well.
Sure.
Vinifera
Right.
is
Wine
from a
grapes.
drier, more desert-like area.
That's right.
And so
Some
it
people say
thrives with-
Georgia,
Yeah,
but a lot of
yeah.
parts of
The
Georgia are
Caucasus.
fairly dry as well. The Caucasus.
So it does well without a lot of nutrition or water relative to other crops. So that's
Right.
why it would be planted there.
Right. Well, they say with less water, typically you think with less water, the grapes get a little more character, a little better development, they're
A
better
little more
for wine.
concentrated.
And they're more
swell and
concentrated.
dilute.
They're not full of water that would water down the wine.
Right. So I've never. Maybe you should be leading this, but before we run out of wine, anyway, that was a nice wine key. Good job. Food pairings with Viognier.
pairings.
I don't think about it a lot because
No.
we don't
that's
have
a
it a
weird
lot.
one, right?
Although I have some like gut thoughts about just
Yeah,
like
just-
my mental palate.
Just taste the wine and what would it go with, right? Let's both think on that for one. We got like a couple of minutes left here. We have to cut off in like 2 minutes, so let's see if we can do something real quick.
Well, I think. Can I talk or
Yeah.
If the empanada were the curry beef, or like was beef with a lot of spice, like sweet spice, like cumin, that kind of thing, I think it would work fantastically.
When he says the empanada,
Our empanada.
he's talking about our empanada here at the restaurant, where we do a lot of crazy stuff. We have a beautiful crust that we do, which is a trade secret actually, and we do a lot of interesting like fillings. Like the one we just did was a Thai coconut curry chicken.
I think it'd be great.
empanada.
I think it'd be great.
Agreed.
And the Moroccan beef, I think it'd be great. I think you could get away with beef with this.
So something
you know?
spicy, exotic, maybe
exotic,
with a little
yeah.
sweetness.
Maybe Thai food.
Thai food. Sure.
Why not?
Right on. I think that's a great call.
I
You know,
think
sure.
that would all taste good.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's typical of Viognier. It's going to pair with maybe slightly more exotic dishes and stuff. Often, or I mean, that's something they often say about Gewürztraminer and Riesling.
Sure, but at least they can often have a residual sweetness. This is not any bit significant sweetness to the
I
wine.
think it's got a little, it's maybe like 6-7 grams, but it's nothing crazy.
Maybe,
Maybe not even. Yeah.
maybe not even. I don't think even, but I could be wrong.
It's tasty,
It is tasty.
but yeah, I hear you. I think Thai food's a great call.
I feel
Thai
like
chicken.
meats with spice on them would be great.
Sure.
You know, not just, I don't know, there's probably certain vegetables that are good with it too, but like a meat heavily spiced with
Yep.
these like savory and sweet spices, I think would
Nice. Yeah, chicken
Very
tikka masala.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's not really, this tikka masala doesn't have a significant heat to it, or can?
No, I think
It can,
usually.
See, I think that's what you
tikka
wanna get in-
masala. Does it have a lot of heat or?
Yes.
Oh,
It can.
I'm thinking
It
of
can-
korma, chicken korma.
I'm not sure of that one.
Okay.
Tikka marsala is one of the. It's spicy, but it's not as hot as most of their other dishes.
Right.
But I think this could go with a fairly spicy food too.
Like heat?
a little bit.
I think I would be less into it with heat. I think that's where you want gewurz
Yeah. Okay. I mean
sweetness.
korma.
with the sweetness, cool down meat. You know.
I can also see it with like something with a heavy cream sauce.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
anything with a heavy like pasta with a heavy cream sauce. This would work well.
Okay. Okay. What's a sauce that has like a lot of these saffroni or cumin and curry type sauces that gives it like a yellow or golden? What would that be? I don't know. For some reason, I can't fully remember
think
what I'm thinking
korma.
of, but
Indian, right? Korma?
I guess so. I don't know. I'm not sure what korma is. I know what tikka masala is, and I know it for being having heat. But anyway, there are certainly pairings here, and I don't know. Maybe at some point, I don't know how much people would be into watching us eat and drink, but
Sure.
wine is great, but when you pair it with the right